Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope everyone had a great spring break if you were actually able to go on spring break. Today, we're going to talk about sales and marketing alignment to do with entrepreneurial marketing. So, first, we're going to talk about how the success um, really happens when sales and marketing gel. When sales and marketing work together in a small business or in an entrepreneurial business, that is really when a business can be any business for that matter, not small, but small, large, otherwise. When they work together, it really is when a business can be the most successful. So I think that's why many of you, I have a lot of sales majors in my classes, have a lot of marketing majors in my classes, and there's a reason that both departments are really included within the marketing department. Or the business college rather at WKU is because they really do work very well together. So sales is more about closing deals and building relationships. That's really, really important. You've got to understand the customer's needs. You have to make sure that you're delivering the right message. You want to really convert their interest into a sale. Like, oh, I'm interested now, but okay, I might actually make a purchase. So, marketing, though, is one too many. And we've talked about that a lot. You're a marketer, you're a business, you are sending all of your information from you out there into the world, hoping that somebody latches on and takes interest in whatever it is that you're selling and they take an action based on something you've asked them to do. It really does reach a very broad audience. The one-to-one goal on sales is really more that sales is building relationships. They are customizing that messaging based on who that client might be or who that customer might be, and their goal is to really close the deal. Sales is absolutely the final step in delivering value to the customer, and marketing definitely gets them in the front door. Sales closes the deal. Then they really have to work together to retain that customer and get them to keep coming back. It can be a real serious problem, though, when some of these things are misaligned because sales are out there in the world. They're building those relationships. They're trying to make things happen and bring in the dollars. Marketing, though, is very data driven. A lot of times it's indirect. We're putting data out there. We're saying, okay, here's how we're going to market this based on what we know. And now here's our marketing to pull people in. And now sales, you got to jump in and close the deal. So there are lots of different ways that can work. So the feedback loop is basically a continuous cycle that helps you understand the real needs of the customer in real time as you're going through it. You're taking their feedback, you're listening to what the customer has to say. We spoke about the voice of the customer a couple weeks ago. This is where that voice of the customer really comes in. This is how you start making tweaks to your product or to your service based on what you're hearing from the needs of the customer. And the customer insight is constantly coming at you. So, how you can turn that into a sales strategy is several different ways. You have B2B sales, which is business to business. I'm a business. I'm selling my product or service to other businesses so that they can then use it to do their business with. Um, these are longer sales cycles. These are more lengthy contracts that you have with these businesses who will partake in your services. So think like when you watch the Sublime Media Group interview. They are a business that came to my business at MedCenter Health, and they provide me with a long-term service. I contract with them year over year. We spend quite a bit of money with them, and in exchange, they give us a lot of deliverables. There are lots of decision makers in those processes. It's not just me making the decision because it is a sizable investment in a lot of these B2B relationships. You're having to go all the way up the chain or go through CFO or maybe a request for a proposal or RFP process that is very formal to get people to put bids on whether or not you select their businesses. So it can be a lengthy and complicated process. So some of you that are wanting to go into pharmaceutical sales or going into medical device sales, That is definitely a B2B type of sales experience. B2C is what we talk about most of the time in my marketing classes, or business to consumer. So you're selling to individuals out there in the marketplace. They make snap decisions. They buy something they want right now, and there are a lot more emotional drivers in that you can pull at those heartstrings and tell them what's in it for them and get them to continue to come back for more. Then there's consumer to consumer platforms. You see this quite a bit on places like Etsy, eBay, or places like Poshmark, or places where people are reselling their goods through a platform to other consumers out there in the world. It can be low cost, although a lot of people will tell you that selling on eBay, or even the fees that they require you to pay, or even shipping costs and things like that, can be pretty extensive. And just the cost of doing business in platforms like that can get kind of costly depending on how much volume you're pushing. So there are those options as well. So it's important to design processes and systems and put them into place to basically manage your marketing and sales and how they work together. You want to put your KPIs out there, your key performance metrics, and say, okay, how many active customers do we have? How much revenue are we going to bring in? What are we actually profiting out of this? How much revenue is coming in per customer? And then how are our customers growing? It's really important to be able to track these things. Also, the sales pipeline. So any of you who've taken a sales class should know what the pipeline is. Basically, it's how many people do you have that are prospective buyers, people that might be interested in your product at any given moment. How many of those people are out there for you? This is very, very similar to looking at your available market that you would have out there in your target market. So you're looking at consumer markets, like how many people are out there? What is our served available market? What is our quantified available market? So if you don't track all this kind of stuff, you can't fix it and make improvements over time. So you really do have to look at all of these very important things. So you know what the sales funnel is. The sales funnel starts at the very, very top, and you've seen this in lots of different formats, but basically it starts with developing awareness of your product or service. How can you make sure that people out in the marketplace are aware of what it is that you're selling? Because you need them to become aware of it in order for them to funnel down and become interested. Like, that might be something that I'm interested in purchasing, or that might be a company that I want to partner with. Then they'll consider possibly making that purchase. Then they decide whether or not they're actually going to purchase it and evaluate, is this a worthy investment for me? Then once they make that purchase, then they can later become a product evangelist for you, and they can go out and tell other people about the good experience that they have with your product. This is the whole crux behind how things like TikTok Shop work. People will see something on TikTok and, oh my gosh, I have to have that, because they are listening to their peers. They're paying attention to what's happening out there in the marketplace. The 80-20 rule of customer revenue states that 80% of revenue from the sales of goods or services come from 20% of customers. I honestly could not tell you how true that is. You know, there can be a huge customer base out there, and you think you're hitting them all, and you're not necessarily getting them. So basically, it raises questions. Is your company only dependent on a few customers? And so this is really interesting when you get into your final projects for this class and you're talking to small business owners or entrepreneurs. Are do they have just the same few repeat customers who are coming in all the time, and that is what is sustaining them? And how do they grow beyond just their core group of customers into, how do they increase and how do they spread their business out? How can you better serve those top customers, because you want them to keep coming back, but also tell others about their experience so others will come in as well? So how can you get those customers to help you diversify? So the marketing tactics that you would use for these, well, think about what tactics would drive sales into my business. What do I have to do? Do I need to do a social media campaign? Do I need to do TV commercials? Do I need to go out and sponsor an event and set up a table and stand there and hand out samples of something? And, like you go to Sam's Club and you get samples of products in the in the store on a Saturday, and then, ooh, maybe I like that. Maybe I'm going to go purchase that now. So, what are the tactics that are currently being used, or what are some ideas of tactics that are not being used? And you really need to measure where you're losing money. If you're making a huge investment in television ads or billboard ads and nobody's calling and saying, oh, I saw your TV commercial or I saw your billboard ad, it's really hard to track those, by the way. If you're making a huge investment in those, but you're not seeing a ton of business walking in your door, then that's probably not a great investment. You could probably make an investment more in social media or digital media that you can actually track it using data and metrics that are provided by whatever vendor you're using, or Facebook or Instagram or wherever. And then you can have a better idea of how many people are actually clicking through to your website. Or if you use a service like Google Ads or Google Analytics, you can actually track how many people clicked on your map to find directions to your location, or how many people clicked to make a phone call, or to learn more, or click through to your website to learn more. So it's important to track these things. Then there is your data capture plan. So what data should you be tracking? How should you collect it? Who owns the data? And how often should you review the data? On my team, we have a strategy meeting once a month, and we are looking at whatever area of the business we are planning to promote, let's say a few months from now. So right now, we're about to have our strategy meeting early in April, where we will discuss our orthopedics and sports medicine practice. And what we look at is, how many patients do they have right now? Where are they coming from? Are they males, females? How old are they? What county are they from? What is their race or ethnicity? Why are they coming in? Are they coming in for hip replacements? Are they coming in with broken arms, sprained ankles? Why are they coming in, and which doctors are they coming to see? Are they coming in to get preventative treatment? Are they coming in to schedule a surgery? What all are they coming in for? Because once we have the answer to all of those questions, then we'll be able to make a marketing plan to say, oh, wow, we're really not getting a whole lot of broken bones in here. So maybe we need to do some marketing to let people know that we have a walk-in orthopedic clinic. So if you fall over the weekend and you need to go see an orthopedist immediately, you can walk in Monday morning and go see an orthopedist. Boom. You don't have to wait for an appointment. You don't have to sit in a waiting room for 4 hours. Just walk in and do that. That's a fact. We actually offer that. So that's just one of the things. How do you collect the data? I have people that I call in my IT department that help me pull that information. Some of it we pull ourselves from social media and things that we have here in our office. Who owns the data? I'm fortunate here at MedCenter Health, we own the data. But there is a lot of time, like let's say I'm researching for our lung cancer program. I'm going to go out and I'm going to pull publicly available data, excuse me, from different places like the Census Bureau or different counties to look at, how many cases of lung cancer do they have, and so on. So how often should you review it really sort of depends on, what your plans are. So I say monthly, but if you're in the middle of a campaign, ideally you should be watching it pretty frequently to see how it's going so that you don't have any surprises like, oh man, that didn't do very well. You probably could have fixed it 2 weeks ago. So sometimes it's not great to wait a whole month before you review your data, but it also just really sort of depends on what you're doing. So let's talk about what a CRM is. This is client relations management software, or customer relations management software. WKU, for example, uses a CRM. And with the CRM, that is why when you're a freshman, you start getting all those emails from all the colleges and universities that are giving you various pieces of information about various things. From the minute that you have your first touch point, whether and you've probably noticed this with your email, with text messages, social media sometimes, because, my daughter calls it the FBI agent in her phone that is like tracking everything that happens on your phone. There are little tracking devices put in ads and put in places that you surf and places that you go. That start tracking your activity as a customer and whether or not you've made a purchase. You might be searching on a website and put some things in a shopping cart, and not purchase them. And then later on that evening, you're going to get an email saying, hey, we noticed you left some things behind in your cart. That is all coming through a CRM system that is tracking what you do once you have made a touch point with a brand. This can be super useful, and there are some of these. This can actually be really super helpful for small business if they're willing to invest in a very small scale piece of software like Monday or like Salesforce, for example, offer lots of options, various price points for small businesses to start tracking those customers. They also track inventory. They identify trends in sales. They can improve retention. They definitely improve communication with your customers through email, SMS, or text-based communication with customers so that they are constantly getting communication from you or information about products or services from you. It can really increase your sales efficiency and track a lot of that for you. I will say, when you're putting together a CRM, there is a lot of work on the front end to get the information in there that you need to share about your business. It can take quite a bit of time. It is a worthy investment, in my opinion. So, if I were consulting with a small business that had a budget for that sort of thing, it is definitely increases efficiencies for sure. So a CRM is basically a computer system that it's going to track through EMS, or goodness, that is not email, SMS. EMS are the guys that drive the ambulance. You can tell I've been working today. Through chat, you've got chatbots in there. You've got salespeople tracking. You've got your inventory in there. You've got retention, communication. You name it. You name it. You name it. There's a ton of it in there. So a CRM can be very, very useful. It enables you to follow up with people, to answer questions if you have customer service issues. You can segment your markets. So you could say, I want to send out this email blast about a special that I'm having this weekend for Mother's Day. So let's send it out to just people that have identified themselves as moms, or just women, or just people in this certain age group, or just people who are interested in this type of product. And now maybe they're interested in an upgrade of the product. So CRM can track all of that for you, which is a super handy thing. And you can actually set it up in the beginning. So you can say, okay, a client bought a pair of sunglasses in March for an April vacation. Okay, so I made my purchase in mid-March. I didn't, I'm just making this up. I made my purchase in mid-March for a pair of sunglasses. Maybe by the end of April, they'll say, hey, how was your trip? Are you interested in another pair of glasses? Here's buy a second style, get one free. Or here's buy a pair of computer glasses or reading glasses or whatever. Do you want to use the same prescription? Or just offering you different options from the same brand that get you thinking about other things that maybe you didn't think you needed before, or maybe you do need, you just hadn't purchased it yet. But because you already bought from the brand, they're offering it to you again. So basically, on the back end of that CRM, they're setting triggers up that say, 1 month after customer Corey Martin purchased her sunglasses, trigger an email to send her that offers her this special. So, and that's just automatically done without any human intervention, typically. It's always better if you do have a human on the other end making sure things are accurate. But basically, this is the way that you can keep your sales funnel moving while you're over here running your business and doing things that are more important. Okay, so how this fits into the business model. So sales impacts the channels you use, whether you're using social, whether you're using TikTok, Facebook, whatever. It impacts the customer relationships because sales is building those relationships with people. So as I mentioned a minute ago, if I'm sending you out a follow-up email a month after you made a purchase with me, that is both a marketing and a sales tactic. So that's marketing and sales working together to provide value added for the customer to get them to purchase another product, right? You've probably seen this a ton. Maybe you knew what it was. Maybe you didn't know what it was. Most people know what it is, but that's what it is. Sales can impact the key activities that you do. It can impact how much you are charging for your products or services. And the sales strategy absolutely has to align with the entire business model. So that's all I got on sales this week. I do want to point out to you that I have posted a second slide presentation for you. It's brief, don't worry, that is going to outline the final project that we're going to do in class this semester. And it will take the next 4 weeks to do, starting this week and going until close to the end of April. And then we're going to have your final, and then you're done for the semester, which is crazy. So, anyway, please let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great week.